I'll share some of the things I found is like it's day 18 if you want to look in your book if you've gotten to that point. But it gives you freedom to be yourself, right? Uh, it allows you to be fully seen. It allows you to be fully loved. If I can't love myself, no matter how much someone says how wonderful I am, if there's a voice saying, no, you aren't, I can't even feel it. It robs them of the ability to love me. Confidence, it gives you confidence and courage. Um, how have you experienced confidence as your self love increased? It's attractive, right? It's attractive to be around someone. I was at a dance after a Tony Robbins event, and this is a really nice looking guy that I was with, and he was just a really good friend. I was dating someone at the time, and I was just curious, like, who is he attracted to? So I say, who in this place are you attracted to? And I was so surprised because there were like the most gorgeous women on the planet there. After a Tony Robbins event, they're all dolled up and they look great. It was this girl that was dancing with no regard in this flowery, fluffy dress. She was a little bit probably like, she wasn't the thinnest girl there by far. And she was just smiling and closing her eyes and just dancing. And that's who he was drawn to, and it really helped me to see like it's the confidence. Men love confidence, but humans love to be around someone that just loves themselves, that's fine with who they are in the world, right? um when can you give, oh, you can give love to yourself and you're overflowing with it and it magnetizes others to you. So that's what I found in that question, but I'm curious, what do you find? What would you say about self-love to a friend or to a child? Why learn about it? Anything else to add? Jolene, I feel like you've got something so wise to share.
Well, I think it's really funny because what comes up in my mind is I remember telling my son that, Preston, just love yourself and take care of you and do what's important to you and do those things. And I find that interesting. I taught that to my child, but I didn't teach it to myself. Because it gives them the courage, the confidence, the to just tackle the bigger things and to be the better person and to love yourself and stand up for those things that are important. So yeah, everything that you wrote, I guess that's what it's funny where we hear it in other people's language, but those weren't my words. But yeah, just interesting. But again, remembering to encourage my son to do that. But funny that I didn't encourage myself. So
Yeah, it's interesting how much easier it is. One of the questions was, do you find that it's easier to show love to the people, animals, nature, even, than to yourself? And what I realized is like, yeah, and it says why? And I go, oh, yeah, it's because I see them. I'm kinesthetic. And like God and myself, I don't see the way that I kinesthetically see others. And so I guess one of the first powerful practices in self love is mirror work, right? It's actually sitting in the mirror and looking at yourself and saying, I love you. And it's a profound practice because we say it so often to others, and yet we don't do that to ourselves. We tell people the compliments and the love and say kind things to others, and we don't say those same things to ourselves. And that's why, so many people have certain issues with affirmations. I'm such a fan. Like, talk kindly to yourself. And if it has to be awkward at first, if it has to feel so weird at first that you want to crawl out of your skin, who cares? Do it. because you have to train yourself to speak kindly to yourself, to say those words that you would say to others. And if you can't say them to others either, then get uncomfortable and start saying things, right? Like, people that are stingy with compliments. It doesn't feel as nice to be around them. Like, it's so fun to be around my dad because he just like I got a call one time when I was on the ski hill with my friend, and I turned it on speaker. I said, "Hey Daddy O, how are you doing?" He goes, "Paige, I just called to tell you I love you so much. There's nothing wrong with you in the world. You're the best." I go, "Thanks, Dad." Like, that's the kind of human that's just nice to be around. You're like, "Oh, like, I want to go hang out with you." And everyone feels like that with my dad, right? So, how do we show up in ways that it may feel uncomfortable? Like, for other people, it would feel so weird to say that to someone. It feels completely uncomfortable. How can we get more comfortable being loving? Christina.
Yeah, I love that. That's so sweet. And I read your post about your birthday and your parents and your dad, and that's just so wonderful. And I call my dad Daddy-O, so that's so
Oh,
fun.
really?
Yeah, that's fun. So a few years ago, Paige knows this because she coached me through it. I went through a really bad divorce and just a really hard season in my life. And my now partner, he's amazing. And I was really down on myself and like kind of the situation I was in financially, and like was being really hard on myself, and was just like, I was on the phone with him, but I was like mad at myself, and I was saying like, "Dang it, Christina, like get it together." Like, and he was like, "Would you ever talk to a friend like that? Like, would you ever say these things to a friend?" And that like struck me so deeply, and like has stuck with me and has changed me, and like so deeply. And so anyway, that's exactly what you said. Like, what would you say to a friend or your child about loving yourself? But just like when you are being hard on yourself, or you're saying things to yourself, it's like, is this something that I would say to my child, or I would say to a friend? And if it's not, then stop it. Like, just stop.
Yeah. And like we always say, it's easier said than done, but really with this, like, you're the first witness. It's not so hard to just start becoming, like, waking up to it,
Mhm.
waking up to what you're saying to yourself. And this is the power also of just coming on and sharing your wins, right? It's, my friend, this past week, she sent me a text. She said, "Can you please tell me the 3 things that you don't like about me the most?" And I said, "That's the dumbest assignment I've ever heard. Who gave it to you?" Like, I think that's so dumb. I will tell you 10 things why I think you are the coolest, most amazing, adoring, and adorable friend I've ever had. I think you are phenomenal, and I'm going to tell you all the reasons why. Right? Like, why? Why would we do that? I am so aware. Like, you think that she doesn't know her weaknesses? Like, it's just not we're hyper aware of how we suck. Do we need people to tell us? I just don't think so. And at the end of the day, do we have to go through the day and think of all the things that we did wrong? But how long, how many years have you done that? I mean, I did it for decades. And it takes a lot of skill for me to pause and go, "Oh, I'm going to think of my 3 wins. And I'm going to actually acknowledge that I did some really cool things today. I just went into the next one without any celebration." So there's no building on it. There's no acceleration. We get what we focus on. How many times have I said that? We get more of what we focus on. And so let's focus on the wins and start speaking kindly. Like, this is a building momentum. This is how we spiral up, right? Yeah. Kelsey, I feel like you have some beautiful wisdom.
I was gonna say, what that self-love just feels better. Like Abraham Hicks talks about it all the time. Like, that's the point. When you see a child happy and it feels better to them when they're excited about something, like that's what life is about. Following that. But we've been taught, and all of our ancestors were in such survival. Like now's the time we get to celebrate that we get to feel better because of all the things that happened over evolution and our ancestors doing what they did. Now we get to celebrate, and they want us to celebrate. So let's do better. It's fun and it's exciting to be alive. You know what I mean? Like, and when you follow what feels better, you actually learn what resonates with your heart and your soul better. It's like all of a sudden you have all these pings of, oh my gosh, that resonates with me. I'm going to follow that. That feels better. And then you start attracting all these people that vibe with you because you're really getting into that energy. So it's like, it's really just so simple, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Self-love
Yeah.
feels better.
That gives me goosebumps. Like it's so true. And just like our ancestors want this for us. Like this is what is, it's the time and the place. And also our partners want this for us. Our loved ones want this for us. Like I was on a call just earlier about relationships, and I was sharing about understanding men and understanding women. But a lot of it was like, how do you stand in your power as a woman and um ask for what you want or get what you want, or even when there's a disagreement. And I was just saying, you know, the only obligation we have in a relationship is to ask for what we want. But how do we do that with partners is we tell them how it's going to give us, what it's going to give us, how it's going to feel in our bodies, you know? Like this is a little graphic, but men love to get inside of women's bodies. Like if you can tell a man, like, you got into my heart, you like, you gave me butterflies, you made me tingle all over, like this lights them up. And it's just like you were saying with a child, like when you do something and a child lights up and smiles, like what's better than a child lighting up when they see you and running into your arms? Like it makes me want to cry. Miss my nieces and nephews because they're so freaking cute. And it's like I would do anything for those children. Like I literally love them more than my own children sometimes, because they're like, when they're in my arms and they're like snuggling and they're smelling me and I smell them, like it's so yummy because those little ones are just like, you got into their bodies, right? You did something that made them happy, that feels so good as a human spirit. And so so just a bit of a tangent, but like when we love ourselves, get still enough, figure out what we want, what we need, and then we courageously ask. And we ask in a way that works for this male psyche and say the ROI on it and say, hey, this is what you could give me, and this is what it would give me, and this is what it would feel like in my body, and this is what it would, you know, that gives them, like, there's no question. My friend was saying, if she says, take me to lunch tomorrow, he's like, don't control me. I'm not going to take, like, I'm going to go to lunch by myself. And she says, oh my gosh, would you please take me to lunch tomorrow? He'd be like, yeah, of course, I love going to lunch and I want to take you to lunch. But if she says, will you take me to lunch? It would be so fun to just connect with you. And I just, oh, it like makes my heart feel just to think of just having an hour so we can connect. He's like, I'll take you to the nicest restaurant. You know, like it's just, how do we, it's not manipulative. It's playing, it's like playing the game of life in a way so everyone can win. Right. So yeah, any thoughts on that? I think it's a really cool conversation, especially among women. Kels.
I just think I love it, but it's like we're speaking, like you said, the male psyche of how they have this innate desire to provide. So to provide that thing that will light you up, where you feel better, that's what they live for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then they win,
Yeah,
we win. Like, but think about it. There's so much subconscious belief systems and instinct to say don't, right? For me, it is so hard to ask for what I want. It's like, oh, immediately my thought is, you can do it yourself. The next thought is, they're going to tell you why you don't need it and why it's not that important. the next thought is you really don't need it at all. And like, it's just, it's that. And so I'm going, oh no, but I've learned that like a good man does want to, or like my friends want to give to me, or my family wants to like be able to love me in the very best way. And I'm going to actually give them a way to love me in the way that I can receive it in the very best way. Like, yeah, that's cool, right? It's so cool if your friend goes, you know what would be the best birthday present ever? If you da 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 da, you can be like, oh, thank you. Like so much stress off of my head, right? And I have like a special, go ahead.
Clarity is kindness, right?
Yeah, so good. So good. So
Yeah.
it's so good. Anyone else? Yeah, Jolene.
I think it's getting to a space of inviting others in. I'm gonna celebrate Catalina in the sense that the conversations that we've had and the actual connection and the conversations that we had, and she says to me, you're not being nice to my friend. You stop being mean to my friend. You know, you need to talk nicer to her, and you need to celebrate her. And so I appreciate the, you know, because I think I can only speak for me, getting caught up in those conversations and we don't even recognize that we are saying them or that we do those or different things. And so it's nice to have the friend that calls you on your, you know, we laugh about it because we're like calling each other on our own shit, you know. But that was just something she said. She's like, you're not being nice to my friend. I'm going to tell you no. Stop being mean to her.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, to have like a tribe that's holding you up and just helping you to see your blind spots too, because sometimes we don't even hear it. It's such a pattern to us. We can't even hear it. So that's so beautiful. Amanda, welcome. It's happy to see you here. And there's something I wanted to bring up in all of this is that the communication, clarity is kindness, but how do we get to that place of clarity? In fact, the entire next month is all about the clarity process, using your mind as a tool, going through the what, why, how. Like we have the formula, right? We've gone through it, but actually embodying it on a daily basis and getting absolute expert level at using your mind as a tool to get through these kind of things. But I had an interesting experience last week. Well, a couple weeks ago, I met this really cute guy, and we met at the bridge while I was my boys were jumping off and met eyes, and he was just so cute and very flirtatious. And then he happened to live 5 minutes from my aunt in Vancouver, where I was going for a party, so I met up with him. And he was really clear in his intentions. And so I had to, like, in the conversation, it kind of flows and I'm being led by him, and it's really playful. But at a certain point, I had to get really still, and he wanted to know if I would go off and have some, you know, romantic adventure with him for a weekend. And getting to clarity was like a process, right? And I said, I need some space. He said, okay, I'll give you a few days, right? And so in that time, I was able to get really clear on like, what are my goals? What do I want? Why do I want that? Is it fear? Is it love? Right? And there's a process that takes some time. And so I think it's really important to kind of acknowledge that sometimes there's like some chaos happens and you go, I just want to fix this. And so you go immediately into the fixing. But sometimes in relationship, you have to pull back. And for the anxiously attached one, it's like, like they're pulling back, but there's just giving yourself that space of going, what if I took some space and looked with my conscious mind rather than reacting in the programming that I have. And so it was such a relief after the conversation of just like being really clear and saying, this is what I want. I want more than that. I want this, I want that. And he said, I can't give that to you. Right. And I was like, oh, great. And he's like, this is so hard. Like, I like you, but this is such an amazing connection. I'm like, I know. And it's so much easier than a month or two from now when we've totally connected and we've spent way more time together, like, oh, such freedom. So if we can step back, we can get still, we can look and question our thoughts and then go through the what, why, how, then we can communicate with clarity, ask clearly for what we want, and the people around us just get to decide if they can or want to give that to you. And there's no like, there's such abundance in the world. It's not like, oh, if they can't, I'm done for, right? My life is over. It's just, oh, they're not available for that, so I'm gonna get it some other way, or I can let go of that. There's so many different options. Jolene.
That's interesting. Because as you're saying that, this gal that is renting from me, I just said, I'm just going to have this conversation up front. And how does that feel? And she was like, wow, I've never had anybody do that. So it was really interesting because it was interesting from my perspective of being that, because I'm like, I didn't want to offend her. She's going to run, all these things, that are going on in your head. But I love what you're saying there, because it was literally making the decision of what works for me. Here's what's going to work for me. So that's what I told her. Here's what's going to work for me. And she literally said, wow, okay, yeah, that works great for me. And I went, wow, that was easy.
Yeah, it's setting people up to win with you, right? What if we reframe that of like, I'm needy, I need too much, I want too much, I don't want to ask, I'll just keep giving them what they want, and start going, oh, I'm going to set them up so we can both win. I'm going to set us up so we can actually get closer, right? It's vulnerable too. It's vulnerable to ask for what you want. So just recognizing, oh, I have to be courageous here. Like it's powerful to recognize that. Amanda, I feel like you have just the most incredible insight into self-love this week for us.
About an insight about what? Sorry.
Just about what we're talking about, or about self-love from your writings, anything you want to share?
Yes. I mean, it has been such an interesting journey for me, because when I started studying it and really applying it to my life, like, I didn't even realize the extent, or what I didn't even realize I didn't even understand self-love, or what that entails, or all the things that could mean. And just finding out all those things, it is very interesting to me how, when you function at that vibration of, no, this is what I'm accepting for self-love, this is how I'm behaving and acting and treating myself, then people just like weed themselves out. It's just like, oh, either they're excited and they enjoy it and they want some of it, or or they're already there, or they're just like, meh, no. And they're gone, which is kind of, it's just cool, a little heartbreaking in some scenarios, but at the same time, it's like the same thing that you're saying. It's better now than months from now. So yeah, I don't know.
That's such a powerful concept of how, when we raise our vibration, people around us will either rise to it, leave, or fight. And actually, I was having this conversation for the last 5 years. I've always taught they'll either raise to your vibration or leave. But he said, or fight. They'll fight for you to come down. to
Yeah.
their vibration. And I always just taught the two, and I'm like, okay, I'm adding this, so I'm going to share that with you. But it's really when I learned this, and I know I've shared this with all of you probably, but when I first learned this with my coach, she said that to me, and I said, oh, okay, then I don't know if I want to raise my vibration because I don't want him to leave. Right. And that was my instinctual thought. It was just so desperate for him to stay, that like for my marriage just to stay together. And when I thought of it with like, I questioned the thought. I was like, oh, that's the dumbest thought I've ever thought of. Like, I'm going to stay miserable so that he stays around. Like, this is so dumb. And within four months, he was gone. He was out of, the divorce was started. So, it's very powerful to understand this concept. But I do, in the writing on day 15, it talked about how do you know who do you know that doesn't seem to love themselves, and how do you describe them? And as I was kind of describing it, I realized that interestingly, it triggers, I don't like being around them, right? They seem to be critical. They make themselves wrong so much that either they're really negative or they're really judgmental because there's a projection. But I noticed that it triggers my lack of self-love. And so we're all mirrors for each other. And so it's difficult to be around someone who's really negative and lacks that self-love. And it also brings to my attention of how powerful we are to raise people's vibrations or to lower them, right? I can be that same person that either triggers people's deepest wounds or shines light on their greatest strengths. And just as I started the whole class on saying it's not all about us, right? There's so much more that's guiding and impacting and like creating this experience. And you can have that kind of impact on others, but like just as the moon and Saturn and Mars have an impact on us, like there's a weather system that has an effect on mass consciousness. And it's not an excuse, it's just like an acknowledgement and going, oh, it's not all me, it's not all about me. But I love it when I can come out a little bit and go, oh yeah, like my doing this work and this self work, and Catalina getting a massage this week, and us doing things that help us, it can raise the vibration of everyone around us. Self-love raises the vibration of the planet. Amanda.
Okay, so how you were saying you don't like to be around the negativity. I can very much so relate with that, but my question to you is, like, what do you do when it's a loved one? Like, for instance, my mother. She's very doomsday, negative, negative, negative. And when she left, I didn't realize like how much she was bringing me down to her negativity level. And they're going to be coming home like in probably September, but I'm kind of stressed out about it. I'm kind of like overthinking, like how can I stay strong in my positive energy when she's constantly around?
You asked such good questions. And this is like fire hydrant fast, and we can go over this another time, but the only obligation we have, the only people on the planet that we can fully unconditionally love, like obviously Christina with Journey, like complete unconditional love, but children grow up and eventually certain things happen and whatever. And there's this kind of give and take. There's just the one relationship where it's just, you gave me life, you owe me nothing, I owe you, and I have no expectations of you, is our parents when we're grown adults. Now, as children, you need things from them and everything else. But as grown adults, this is a really powerful concept. If you can kind of play around with it, is I I don't expect you to change. There's no expectations of you. There's no expectations for you to give me anything. And there's only a practice of unconditional love and acceptance and non-judgment. Now, I'm not telling you this is easy. I have my own struggles with my own experiences, but when I learned this and I let go of the expectations of my mother, all of a sudden she started to show up in completely different ways for me.
Can I just interrupt real quick? I know you're not done, but I guess for sure I'm expecting her to change. That I need to work on. When you said that, I was like, ding. But in that, when she's not changing, that how do I stay comfortably and strong in my own energy and
Yeah.
not get down to her level?
Exactly. So that's the step 2, which is staying in your own business, right? It's
Okay.
like literally going, oh, she's going to come in the room. She's going to have, it's like when Trey would come into the house and he'd be so negative and barking at the kids and doing all his negativity stuff. And I just went, oh, like, I'm just going to go out and jump on the trampoline with the kids. Like, it's always my example, but it's just like, I just realized I wasn't in charge of making him happy. I wasn't in charge of changing his energy. All I was in charge of is my own. And so if I can stay in my lane and stay in my business, then the most consistent energy and frequency will win. It's the same with drug dealers and it's the same with gurus, right? Why does it feel so good to be in a guru's presence? Their vibration is so consistent and so strong that just sitting in their frequency will raise your frequency. And it's the same thing with drug dealers, right? They're so committed to their way of being and cutting down or getting money or whatever, that they'll draw people into that frequency. So what's your frequency that you're committing to? And how can you show up in the most powerful way for you? And if it's like, wow, for me to stay in the frequency that I'm committed to being in, I'm going to go get a drink of water and take 10 deep breaths. And I'm going to smile at her and just tell her I love her. Or I'm going to just take that deep breath and walk out of the room. Like, it's okay. It's just knowing that this is the frequency. And the more consistent you are, miracles do happen. I mean, over and over and over, I've seen thousands of them with this one principle. Catalina.
So I used to have a roommate, a male roommate, and he would come home every day and say, women drivers suck. And it would just like, just send me through the roof. And, at first I would try to defend it, and then I would justify it, and I would have to do evidence, and then I wouldn't want to talk to him and everything else. And my therapist said, well, what would happen if you rewarded yourself if he said that 3 days in a row? And I went, what? No, I don't want him to say it all. And she goes, no. She goes, give yourself a reward. She goes, if he says it 3 days in a row, he comes home, he says it every day. She said, after the 3rd day, what do you get? And I'm going like, I don't know. I get to watch a movie I like. And so she goes, okay. And she said, do you think that's enough? And I go, 3 days. I don't think I can last 3 days, but okay, great, right? So the first day he comes home, he says it. I don't say anything. I just mark it down because I'm going like, I'm 1 day. I got 1 day, right? The second day he comes home, he says the same thing. I go, I got 2 days. I'm 1 day away from my favorite movie. He never said it the 3rd day. He never said it again. And I'm going like,
eyes out of you.
yeah, and it was like my expectation changed. My expectation, and rather than being annoyed and irritated, he probably said it to somebody else, but he didn't say it to me anymore. And so it's like, and I couldn't believe that it worked in the moment. Honestly, I just could not believe that it worked. He never made that sentence again. And it was like, because the energy, I shifted the energy in me where I got something I wanted out of him saying it.
I love that either way you got what you wanted.
Right. But I thought my therapist was crazy at the moment. I'm thinking like, okay, I don't know if this works, but I went, I'll try. So, and yeah, really difficult people. I was thinking, that the situation right now working for the client I have is really difficult. And I'm going like, oh, I forgot that lesson. So thank you for asking that, because I went, oh, wait, I just need 3 things. And then what do I get? I don't have to correct them. I don't even have to say anything. I just have to mark it down. So perfect, because that is my issue right now too.
I love that. Yeah. And it's looking for how you can find wins and
Yeah.
create the wins in your life, where it's, even if other things aren't going right, you can still win. And then you take your power back, because if you look at your life right now, where are you giving away your power? Where are you letting other people make you mad, make you sad, my mom goes, oh, it's so sad the quail don't have nesting grounds. And I'm like, oh, like I just saw literally 50 quail yesterday.
Yeah.
It's sad that you're letting that make you sad, is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I didn't say it, but it's like there's so much power that's given, and just in response to you, Amanda, I'm looking at my mom having the same situation, and I think I'm looking at like what the deep fear is. Like, why does she need to point out the negative so much? And I think a lot of it, and she talks so much about all of it, and there's got to be some fear that she's not heard, that no one's hearing her, that she has to voice all of these things, that she's not seen, or that her problems aren't recognized and no one understands, right? And so she has to keep pointing it out. And so I'm working with this, and I'm curious, I mean, would be interested in any insights, but it's like, what happens when someone's deepest fear is I'm not heard and I'm not understood, no one understands the pain I'm in, right? The suffering I'm in. And the shift that I'd love to see in her, but at least I don't go into it to play with it and oh, my mom's suffering makes me so sad. My mom's complaining makes me so angry. Like, no, she's having her experience, I'm having mine, right? And the best way I can help her is actually being my true, authentic self, which is in love. Amanda.
Sorry. So would you say something that could help that would be to make an effort to make her feel seen and heard when she's around you?
Right? So it's literally just sitting there. Like I do this with my mom. I'm like, okay, if my heart was open and I was just like a listening heart, and if my face was an expression of unconditional love, what would it look like? And that's the game I play. I just sit there. I just listen. And sometimes it's like, wow, that's shit crazy. And what would my face look like if I was in complete compassion? And I got that, Mom. I hear you. Yeah, that's hard, right? It's just compassion. So it's just, how do I play this game where I'm in chaos, like complete chaos of another human, and I'm still at peace, but I have peace instead of this, right? And I'm not perfect at it. Like sometimes she'll say something like, Mom, like I break out of it. Like it's like, right? That's real. It's real. I'm not perfect at this. I'm not saying I am, but I play the game,
I just have to comment on the results that coaching tip has provided for me, Paige. Seriously, that thing, I've definitely done that after you coached me through that, and I have seen massive results with my mom. So for an example, when I had surgery, she had to care for me. Like she had to help me bathe, like everything. And it was really actually a beautiful experience. I could have been in like, oh, I trigger her so much. I'm so afraid that this is gonna, but it was just so smooth, and it was so loving, and it was so good for us to connect and just laugh together about the fact that I needed her to bathe me, and we had fun with it. But it's I'm just saying, like, practicing what you just talked about has changed everything for me and my mom, because I do provide a lot of fire to things for her sometimes. And so this little example, she she kind of nitpicks me. She used to nitpick me when I would stay at her house for longer than 2 days, because I'm the oldest child, and she'd go back to when I was 16. So she would try to tell me about how I need to clean, I need to make my bed, and I need to da, 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 da. I'm 31 years old, and I would definitely be doing that. But anyways, she said something like, make sure that you've cleaned all this stuff. And I just sat there, and I looked at her with love, and I just listened, and I was a heart with tears, and I just set up and I waited for her to just keep it, because I knew she was in fear in that moment, and she was having her own insecurities about things need to be proper. And so I just kept going like this and nodding my head, and I let her keep talking to me. And she just started saying, because like maybe Alec will come over, who's my brother-in-law, who he's like her brother. They act like siblings. So, anyways, it's silly. So she's like, maybe Alec will come over. And then I just was like, and I just kind of kept grinning. She's like, okay, fine. I think it's just I need it. I like it. And I was like, yeah, it's for you, Mom. And I totally respect that. So I'll make sure it's clean like I typically do. And we just laughed. Like she realized it wasn't about anybody else. It was about what she felt better about. I can share that with you, because like that is a result of practice of you coaching me through that. So thank you.
Oh, that's so beautiful, right? And
Uh-huh.
what a different experience than, Mom,
Right.
I've done it already. Like, just we automatically go into defense because it doesn't, like, we don't necessarily work, like, speak and act logically around the people we love, you know? There's so much projection, there's so much like all this stuff. And so what if we just allow for it? It's messy, there's chaos. And that's really like the whole point of this call is just like, there's chaos in life, it's messy, but like, how do we keep showing up, and how do we do it in the way that we're having the best experience, and even our, like, we're raising our frequencies so the entire planet has a different experience, but at least the people in our lives that we love. So so beautiful. I wanted to end with a 7-minute meditation. Just let us get still, have some communication with ourselves, and be ready for the rest of the day. So it's good to just, even if it's a few minutes, close our eyes and tune into our breath. And as you tune into your breath, just allow your breathing to fill into your belly, rise up into your heart. And again, we'll just do some heart-centered breathing as you focus on that chest area, and find about 5 counts in and 5 counts out. Relaxing your forehead as you breathe. The jaw sends a message to your entire body that you're safe, you're calm. You get to choose each aspect of this wonderful life that you get to live. Breathing into your belly, filling your heart with a color, a warmth, or a frequency of love. Noticing how your heart fills with that color and that frequency until it is overflowing and begins to radiate out into every part of your body, mind, and spirit. You may even feel that frequency vibrating through every cell of your being. And feel your strength, this frequency of love. You may notice where you feel it most, or how you feel it all across your skin, and even around your mouth and eyes. Love, joy, creativity. And as that frequency strengthens, allow in your mind's eye for you to go into a place of nature. And perhaps you're walking along a path, or maybe you're in a garden or a meadow, mountaintop, or along a stream. But as you come across this place in nature, just notice how it fills you with awe and wonder. Gratitude for this planet that we live on. Admiring something close to you, maybe even reaching out and touching. Feeling its texture. Noticing the small intricacies of it, just being in awe of how magnificent this world is. As you look out, you may see a beautiful vista or view. And feel the calm as the earth roots you down, giving you the security and safety of this abundant earth. Knowing that all that you need is coming to you now. In fact, all that you need has already come to you. And as you think of one thing that your heart desires, one thing that you want to create more of, I want you to notice that there's a doorway. And as you approach the doorway, you notice what it's made of. You know how big it is. Anything else that stands out to you about this doorway, and when you're ready, go ahead and reach out. Feeling the weight of the door. And knowing that beyond this door is a space of pure creation, where you have all the resources and tools, all the gifts that you need. And so go ahead and push that door open. Notice what you notice as you step into this place of pure creation where you can create, draw in, and have that desire and even more. Just explore that space in your mind and see what it has to offer. You may even see how easily you're able to receive, create, and have what you desire. You may notice what you needed in order to receive it, for it to be your reality. You may even notice that there's one thing as you come back to this time and place that you're committing to yourself to do. In order to have this one thing. Taking a deep breath. Receiving all the wisdom and all the strength that you need to continue to move forward in creating the life that you love. And as you go back through the doorway into nature, take a nice deep breath, smelling the pleasant fragrances there. And begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Put a smile on your face. And know that anytime you need, you can tune into this inner wisdom and these visions. Bring your hands over your head. Put a smile on your face. Open your eyes. And the word is yes. Woo! Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. Well, I love you all.
I
It's
just
so good to have you. Amanda, go ahead.
real quick, since I showed up late, sorry, I was on a work call. I just wanted to share 2 wins. I'm having surgery on Tuesday, yay, or
That's
Monday.
so
So I won't,
fast. Congrats.
thank you. So I won't be here next Tuesday. Kelsey, your hair is adorable. And nice to meet you, Christina. Also, I went to the pool with my brother and his wife, and it was fun.
No.
Yeah, like a public pool, and it was like a family outing, and we haven't done that since Lake Powell, which was a total disaster. Actually, I don't think we've ever done that successfully. So that was like massive win for me.
Huge win. Hey,
Yeah.
share us your other wins because we just need to hear them. Any other wins you want to share? That's huge.
I've been kind of like a little anxious, so I can't really, I was thinking, I don't know, just those are my 2 that I have. I've been trying to like not freak out. Okay, I guess I will share one more. I was a closet vapor and I quit smoking altogether for surgery, and I think that's adding to my crazy energy, like the tenseness. So it'll be 9 days, and I don't have I like I don't even want it. It's so weird. So
Wow.
that's a huge win for me too, because I was like closet vaping for over a year. So
Wow, that's amazing.
oops.
I somehow online, I'm in like the get people to quit smoking hypnosis world, so I get tons of clients that do that, and I'm going to tell you one word. It's the one sentence that everyone uses is I am now a fresh air breather. And it's just this like it's a really powerful affirmation, but also just the affirmations, they're so powerful. Like use your mantra, say it morning and night, it'll help with that anxiety. But that's part of the power of what we do is bringing that in every morning and night. So just to clarify where we're at, this is the last week to finish up the writing in the book. So go through the writings. Next week, you're going to have your workbook for, we're going to go into lighting your life on fire with gratitude. It's a whole month of every day you have a specific thing you write your gratitudes about. It's going to be such a powerful, amazing month. I'm so excited for you guys. It's going to be like a party in your heads all day. It's going to be so fun. So I love this month. This is like one of the funnest months of the year when you get to just like flood your whole consciousness with gratitude. So that's next month, and the workbook is really cool for that. And it's about taking the gratitude and taking it the next step into this magic that's possible. And then the next step, we're going really into the using your mind as a tool, using this formula for success, and getting really, really good at that. And then we're going to just master the morning routine from there. So it's gonna be some really powerful months moving forward, but we've got where are you guys almost at day 20 in the writing, or where are we? Do we need 1 or 2 weeks to be complete there? I'm trying to get it. You're on week 2, so you're gonna go into week 3, Catalina. Is that right? Okay. And is that about where everyone is? They're at week 3 of the writing or week 4? Do we
I'm at
want to
week
start the next book in 2 weeks or 1?
2 weeks to be great.
Okay.
Are you sending us a whole nother book? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, yes, except that the workbook, I'm going to send it via just digitally until I get back to Utah, because I don't know a printing method to get it shipped out. So I can actually call them and see if they could ship them for me, but I don't know if they can. So if not, then I would have to wait till I get back in 10 days. But 2 weeks is good. So we're going to plan on starting the next part, but keep working on your workbook because it's so powerful to do this writing. And we'll jump into that after. And yeah, we are complete. Amanda,
Thank you.
and
you
good
so
luck on your surgery. You're going to be doing it like while we're in session next week. So we're going to send you tons of light and love for your surgery.
Oh, to Monday. Monday.
Oh,
So
Monday.
Tuesday will be like, I'll need light and love that day.
Yeah, good thing for drugs.
Yeah.
They'll keep you
Very true.
comfy. Oh, okay. Good luck with the surgery. That's going to be so good.
Thank you. Yeah, 2 weeks for starting the new stuff works better for me because of that too. So
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'm glad we tuned in about that.
yes.
Good. And thank you for being on, y'all. Christina,
Thank you.
let's chat.
For letting
Yeah.
me. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.